Good morning, y'all, and welcome to another Crossroads adventure. I'm Ron, and today we are getting back on the kayak to try to do a little fishing here in southern Alabama. Now, the last time I was here, the day did not go over so well. I ended up flipping my kayak, trying to put it in the water, ended up with wet clothes and boots full of water for the entire day. Ended up having to go back to the house to get the Mako and go to the Blackwater River just to get on some fish that day and try to put out a video for you guys. But today, I've sold the little Pelican. I went out and I bought a new 12-foot kayak, much more stable, so I should not have any issues today. I'm really excited to get down here and fish this area. So you guys come along and we'll see you out there. We did at least make it onto the water this time, so that is a step in the right direction. So we're gonna work down this creek a little bit and see if we can't find some fish popping off. We might even try to catch a new species today. I think there's something here that I've never caught before. And I know when it's colder, they like to feed on the bottom, so that's basically how I've been working these lures all morning, is just kind of like popping them a couple times, letting them sit on the bottom a little bit, and then popping them off and really trying to get them to look like a little dying bait fish down there, kind of on the bottom of the water column. There he is, fish on. Finally got one, guys. I've worked hard in here this morning. Oh, look at there. Looky there, looky there. That's the beautiful thing about fishing in an area like this, guys. You can catch just about anything. What a beautiful, beautiful little redfish that is. Look at there. Man, these shallow water redfish are always just so pretty when you get into them, guys. That is a beautiful fish right there, man. All right, so that was a great morning on the water in the new kayak. I didn't even realize that I missed kayak fishing until I got back in the yak this morning and got out on the creek over in southern Alabama. And it turned out to be a gorgeous day. I only caught that one redfish, but that's okay. Today was more about breaking in the kayak and kind of getting a feel for it and seeing what all this thing will do in the water. So as many of you know, when I first started this channel, I was fishing from a Native Titan 10.5 pedal drive kayak. It was a little bit wider than this one, but it was 2 foot shorter, super stable kayak. Tried to get back in the Pelican, which was like a 10-foot kayak. That was not happening, flipped out in the water immediately. So I went out and picked up the VIBE Yellowfin 120. And I wanted to do a review of this kayak for you guys because I feel like this is a really good kayak if you're wanting to get into kayak fishing at an entry level. I think this boat might be perfect for you, and let me tell you why. So the VIBE Yellowfin 120 is a great beginner level fishing kayak, first and foremost because of its stability. Now, I'm a bigger dude, so when I get out on a kayak, I need it to be stable, especially if you're casting around. If you hook a big fish, that fish can pull you one way or the other, and you can kind of be on a sleigh ride before you know it. So you want to make sure you're on a boat that's going to be able to handle a little rocking side to side, which this boat can do. I am going to do a stability test a little bit later on. We're going to call it the fat guy stability test, because all these stability tests that I see on YouTube are guys that are just like super thin, and you know, anybody can stand up on a kayak if you only weigh $150. So when you're throwing 250 on this thing, that's when you're really going to find out how stable it is. So as soon as the water warms up a little bit, not going to do that just yet, but we're going to take this bad boy out and we're going to do a little stability test on it to see how much weight it will hold before it flips and what all you can do to push the limits of it without getting yourself wet. The first individual thing I want to talk about on this kayak is the seat. In my opinion, when you're purchasing a kayak, this right here is the most important thing for you to check out. You want to be comfortable in it. You want to make sure it doesn't have a lot of movement to it. Some kayaks have 2 levels. Some kayaks like this one only has 1 level. This is a more budget-friendly kayak, so you're not going to get as many of those other options as you get like on the big Hobies and things like that. But what I found when I took this out was I'd honestly never been as comfortable in a kayak as I was sitting in this seat. And that's even my Native. The Native for me was the high position was okay, but you kind of cramped your legs up a little bit. And then the low position, you were basically just sitting flat on the kayak. So I really think that VIBE has done a great job of putting a happy medium in here. And at first I didn't know how to put this seat in, and then I finally figured it out. It does come with bungee straps that wraps around with 2 hooks right here, and that's going to hold your seat in place while you're paddling. So I had no issues with the seat whatsoever. I was in it for about 3.5 hours and it was super comfortable. And if you guys are wondering, yes, I made sure that I bought my new kayak to match my new bike. Got all the greens and everything. If I'm going out together, I could potentially pull this thing with the bike one day. So I want it to all look good together because, you know, that's important, right? This kayak is loaded with them. There are gear tracks pretty much completely from the back to the front of this boat. And ultimately, it was a deciding factor for me on going with the VIBE. Now, if you're not familiar with gear tracks, what these are is you can put all kinds of stuff in here. You can put paddle holders, you can put tie-down straps, you can put rod holders, cup holders. There's a multitude of things from different companies that you can put out. If you do YouTube like I do, you can buy a camera mount that will actually attach right to your gear track to give you that third-person view while you're fishing. So the more gear tracks, the better, and this bad boy is loaded down with them. Next is one of the things that can be a downfall to some people. Now, it's not a huge deal to me, but I do want to make sure that I stress everything about this kayak for you if you are thinking about purchasing it. This kayak has little to no dry storage whatsoever. There is one hatch right here in the middle, and in my experiences, these actually do not stay that dry, so I'll be interested to see if water can get in it, but that's it. The front is open, the back is open, so if you're going to take things out on your kayak with this particular yak, you're going to want to make sure that you take some kind of dry storage with you to keep all your stuff that you don't want to get wet nice and dry. Since this kayak does not have a lot of dry storage, you are going to need some kind of aftermarket dry storage, like a bag, a box, or something like that. Now, I don't plug a lot of products on this channel, but I do love these bags. These are from Jack's Trading Company up in Cincinnati, Ohio. Some really good friends of mine actually founded and started this company. They don't pay me to say nice things about them. I try out their stuff for them. If it works, I let them know it works. If it doesn't, I don't mind telling them it doesn't. But this bag does work. Probably one of the nicest waterproof bags I've ever gotten. The backpack portion of it, a lot of times you just get like a little flimsy strap. With this one, you do have a nice backpack. And I do know it works because I was using this bag when I flipped the kayak with Beach Bum about a week or so ago, and everything that was in here stayed bone dry. I'll put a link down in the description to where you can check out Jack's Trading Company to see if they have a product that's right for you. The back of this kayak is loaded with store-bought features, nothing that you have to add. Both of these rod holders do come preset into the kayak, more gear track back here in the back, and then of course, if you've ever been in a kayak, you know how important this bungee is. This is actually what saved all my stuff from going in the water last week when I flipped the Pelican. The one thing that I thought was kind of unique about this kayak, because it is a paddle kayak, not a pedal drive kayak, is it does come prefabbed for a rudder. So if you are interested in putting a rudder on your paddle kayak, it's not really something that appeals to me, but I know a lot of guys that use those just for tracking and things like that. It has all the holes pre-drilled. It's got the preset back here for the rudder to flip up into. So if it's something you're interested in putting on, you don't have to do any drilling or anything like that to add a rudder to this kayak. It's all already there for you. After talking about the rudder in the back, the next thing I want to touch on is the tracking and maneuverability of this kayak. I am not an experienced paddler by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not trying to pretend that I am. But I will tell you, while I had this on the creek, I was definitely not trying to break any land speed records or anything like that. But the kayak tracked really well. It actually tracked way better than my Titan did back when I had it with the pedal drive and the rudder system on it. That kayak was kind of constantly all over the place. Once I got this one heading in a direction, it was really not hard for me to turn it with the paddle in either way. And when I wanted to make a quick turnaround, if I heard a fish pop off or something like that behind me, I was able to easily paddle around, get the boat turned around, and throw on the fish before it got too far away from where it actually hit the top at. So the tracking on this boat for a beginner is excellent. Now, I'm sure there's people out there who are more experienced paddlers than me who may like something a little slimmer or something like that. But I think for the stability you get with this boat, I think the maneuverability is very balanced with everything that comes with it. As you can see, this is a pretty great budget-friendly kayak if you want to get into kayak fishing. Super stable, really nice seat, tons of gear track. The one drawback I would say for some people is going to be that lack of dry storage. For like I said, me personally, I don't really use a lot of dry storage. Everything that's on the boat, I either keep in a waterproof bag or it's tackle or something like that where if it gets splashed with water, I don't mind that at all. The specs on this boat are pretty straightforward. The boat is 12 foot 2 inches long. It's 33 inches wide. It's going to hold 400 pounds capacity weight, and that's going to be you, your gear, everything on it. It is a super stable kayak to be able to hold that much weight and still not have a very low tipping point. I'm interested to see how much it really takes to turn this kayak over. All in all, it felt great to be back in the kayak. Now don't get me wrong, I still love fishing from the Mako and it's still my favorite, but this time of the year in our area, a lot of these fish push up into these backwaters and places like that where you really can't take the Mako, so if you want to get to them, you're going to have another option. If you have not taken a moment to subscribe to the channel, we invite you to do that today and give this video a thumbs up. It truly helps our channel grow. We appreciate y'all watching and we can't wait for you to join us on our next Crossroads adventure. We'll see y'all soon.
Breathless.